Welcome into a Reaction Monday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, and I'm super jealous of Mo right now because he's got a quarter zip long sleeve and I don't, and it's freezing in here.
You know what? My grandfather was fond of saying, better to have it than not need it, than to need it and not have it.
Well,
I've had this for about a month now, and I've probably had to pull it out twice. So, but yeah. You don't expect this in mid-July.
No, you don't.
But we can say this. The air conditioning works here.
The air conditioning does indeed work here. There's no question there. So, anyway.
You know what else works here? Saws.
Apparently, they've not done any cutting at all today. Not 1 ounce of cutting. Justin? Oh, there you are. I was like, what? Can you hear us? What's going on? Listen, we're back in studio for the first time in what? Like,
sorry, I'm getting my sea legs back.
we're all struggling.
Oh, we're struggling. We're kind of struggling, kind of like, who was it we were talking to the other day that was struggling? Was it Ramon? Who?
Yeah.
Who was it that said that we're on the struggle bus?
Yeah, on the struggle bus, Ramon. Yeah. So it's we're gonna get going. We're gonna get going.
It's Monday.
It's Monday, and there's a lot that happens on Monday for us, and a lot of different facets. And so we start today with a little bit of excitement right off the bat. But looking forward to a good show. We have Brad Willis coming up from the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. He'll join us at 3:00. We also talked to TERESA Walker about the ongoing saga with the.
We're going to talk to TERESA about a lot.
Well, sure, but the ongoing saga with the NFL running backs and their situation that they're hoping to be able to fix here soon. We'll talk to her about that. We've got a lot of Braves stuff to get to, especially for an off day. Alex Anthopoulos making money moves today.
Aren't all the moves that Alex Anthopoulos makes money moves?
They've been money from day one, so we'll go with – I'm not going to question him. I can guarantee you that.
Not yet.
And
he's earned that.
No doubt. And we've also got the SEC football preseason all-conference teams as well as the preseason polls. And there's some interesting information in those polls. So we may try to solve a mystery today. We'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
But, yeah, looking forward to a good one. Hope you guys are in it for the long haul today. We will get into it really quickly, but before we do anything else, results from the weekend, today's not exactly long schedule. On the rundown.
Here's the rundown.
On the rundown.
No sea legs. There it is. Oh, I know what's up.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy. Prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Little League State Tournament action. Morristown ousted Columbia American 8-4 before falling to Nolensville in the championship game 11-0. Major League Baseball action over the weekend. Cubs sweep the Cardinals, and Cardinals fans are on watch. 4-3, 8-6, and 7-2. Reds take care of the Diamondbacks in sweep fashion as well. 9-6, 4-2, and 7-3. Braves take 2 of 3 from the Brewers in a battle of division leaders. Braves 6-4 on Friday. Brewers 4-3 on Saturday, but the Braves with a 4-2 win on Sunday in the finale.
Also, the Astros take 2 of 3 from the Athletics. Yay, Wade Neely winning 6-4 on Friday, falling 4-1 on Saturday, and winning the rubber game on Sunday 3-2. The Padres taking 2 of 3 from Detroit, winning 5-4 on Friday, 14-3 on Saturday, but Detroit avoiding the sweep with a 3-1 win on Sunday. In minor league baseball action, the Nashville Sounds grilled the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 17-3 on Friday before losing 10-9 and 9-5 to wrap up that series. In WNBA action over the weekend, it was the New York Liberty 96, the Washington Mystics 87, the Connecticut Sun with an 86-78 win over the Atlanta Dream, the Vegas Aces 98, Minnesota Lynx 81, Dallas Wings with a 98-84 win over the LA Sparks. The Chicago Sky with a 90-75 win over the Seattle Storm. Mystics bounced back with an 84-69 win over the Phoenix Mercury. And the Liberty 101, the Fever 83.
In soccer action, in Leagues Cup play, it was Nashville SC 2, Colorado 1 in the Women's World Cup action. The U.S. defeated Vietnam 3-0. Major League Baseball tonight. Reds at Brewers at 7:10, as well as the Rangers at the Astros. The Cardinals will be at the Diamondbacks at 8:40, and the Padres will host the Pirates at the same time. Women's World Cup action tonight and tomorrow morning. Colombia
with an O, yes.
Takes on Korea at 9 p.m. on FS1. Also at FS1 at midnight 30. It's New Zealand and the Philippines, and then Switzerland and Norway will play at 3 a.m. All of those on FS1. And that, folks, is your rundown. Yeah, Justin, we I figured that out after we didn't hear this is the run. I was like, you know what? He's having to use the computer, and it's okay. Things happen. It's all good. We're going to make it through. As today's top story, as it is every day, is brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Go check them out for great deals on hand-cut meats. I had the meatloaf today with some macaroni and turnip greens, and it was phenomenal for $6.65. I like that it was 65 cents. Thank goodness, because
or 67 cents.
Anything but
yeah.
Around that.
Yeah. Otherwise, they were going to get a tip, right?
Well, I went ahead and got some cherry cobbler to go with it for the extra $2.
Cherry cobbler.
Yeah. Well, extra $2 there, but
solid.
But I mean, for less than $10, meat, 2 vegetables, and a dessert, you can't beat that. And they've also got fresh produce. So plenty of great stuff going on at the Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill. Want to start our show today, unfortunately, with a little somber news as Austin P, incoming freshman, and where did he play his high school ball? Murfreesboro?
Oakland.
At Oakland? Okay. Jeremiah Collins passed away on Friday night in a single car crash in Clarksville.
Mm-mm.
No?
Nashville. It's off Bradley Parkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was driving his pickup truck and the vehicle flipped
Several times.
And unfortunately, he perished in the accident. And our thoughts are with Scotty Walden, the Austin P coach, and the Austin P family, as well as Coach Kevin Creasy and the Oakland Patriots family. We know that this young man was set to be a big part of the Austin P football program, and certainly was at Oakland as well. So we just want to send our condolences to him, his family, and all of his football family as well. Our top story today comes from the Tennessee Titans, as the two-tone blue has been somewhat, at least for a little bit of time, traded in for Columbia blue and red of the former Tennessee Oilers, also the Houston Oilers. But I want to make sure that we let folks know the Tennessee Oilers were a thing.
The Tennessee Oilers were a thing.
And these are the uniforms that they wore. So,
And as owner Amy Adams Strunk has said, Oiler history is Titan history.
period. End of discussion.
Full stop.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we saw the leak on Thursday. Talked a little bit about it in the
Yeah, it was
in that
almost
show.
kind of anticlimactic by the time it was actually released. And, you know, between the leak and the fact that, as some media outlets have pointed out in this town, we have seen these before.
We have,
But-
not only have we seen this before, but we all knew it was coming anyway. I mean,
Now, here's the thing. They say they're going to wear these for 2 games at home. I think we know at least one of the games they're going to wear them.
we actually do know one of the games. I think we can speculate the other one.
Oh, really?
One of them will be Atlanta. They will wear them against the Falcons. Hoping that Arthur Smith does not recognize the other team. And he's unsafe, I guess.
Yeah, those don't look like the Titans. Who are those guys?
I don't know these fellas.
Yeah, but I would like to think that the other team will be the current team that's in Houston. I mean, I can't see how that couldn't be the case, right?
I mean,
I mean, and I know that there will be some that will take that to be petty. But I mean, even if it is, so what? But I mean, who else would you wear them against? If not against them, who? All right.
I don't understand why you wouldn't. Absolutely. To me, excuse me.
Easy.
To me, Houston is the most obvious choice.
Mhm.
So
Can y'all do me a favor and tell me who would want to be tackled by that guy on the right?
Answer, nobody.
the craziest part is that Derrick Henry looks like the defensive tackle.
I know. It's the scariest thing ever for other teams.
I mean, he's bigger than the league's probably second best defensive tackle.
I don't know that he's bigger. I think it's kind of the way they're both standing. I think with Jeffrey Simmons kind of standing at an angle like that, you don't get the full effect of him.
Still,
Trust me on that one.
Yeah, his
Still.
arms though are so long. I never noticed that.
Yeah, his arms go all the way to his
knees. Yeah.
No wonder he's so good with that single push. That just makes sense now.
Well, not just that, but reaching out and grabbing folks,
Well-
he can reach a little further too.
And now it kind of makes you even more impressed at how many times he bench pressed. What was it, 280, 285? I mean, that's a long way to go.
All right.
He had to bench it even farther than anybody else. That's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I love these uniforms. I think they're absolutely phenomenal.
And I'm telling you, the red accessories, the red sleeves, the red gloves, the red cleats that they're going to be able to wear with it, it's really going to make it pop.
I don't see any reason that the Titans don't wear these against Houston, and I absolutely would. And the fact is,
I wish they could wear them in Houston. It would really send them into a conniption.
no, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, there are some people who I respect greatly in this business who certainly feel like this is that it's blasphemous for the Titans to wear Houston Oilers uniforms. But again, and this is what I've told all of them. The Titans were the Tennessee Oilers for 2 seasons or just one?
Just one.
Because
Wait a
they
minute.
played
Wait a minute. Whoa.
I thought they played
Two. The one in Memphis and the first one in Nashville.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. Well, I forget about Memphis.
So that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm pretty sure they played them as Memphis. I knew they played them there as Memphis. I didn't know about if they were in Nashville.
They played here 1 year as the Oilers, I do believe, because they became the Titans when they moved to the new stadium, I do believe, if I'm recalling correctly. And I'm pretty sure that's right. And that's the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So they played at Vanderbilt that 1 year, and they were the Oilers. So when they went to the new stadium, they went to the new name.
Because it was Adelphia Coliseum. You wouldn't have called it the Coliseum if you weren't already the Titans.
If you weren't the Titans, yes. Yes.
So-
Yeah, why would the Oilers play in the Coliseum, right?
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
They play in an oil field.
But and they weren't able to play anywhere in Houston, which is why that Nashville even has a team, Mo.
Well,
And so don't come at me.
well, you know about revisionist history.
Well, and there's that. And a lot of that history that you're seeing out there is talking about how Bud Adams held the city over a barrel and said, this is what we're going to get. And he had the leverage. One, even if you did do that, he clearly had the leverage. But you turned around and built a stadium anyway.
Mm-hmm. For the new guy.
So
yeah, I think that there was a faction in Houston that probably wanted Bud Adams gone as much as Bud Adams wanted to be gone by the end.
sure.
But because he's the one that left, they kind of get to spin that the way they want to spin it.
Well, it's kind of like Oklahoma State. And, Oklahoma's the one who decided not to play Bedlam. They left.
They left. Yeah, no, they left. They didn't decide not to play Bedlam, but that's fine.
That's not how it works. But you can spin it however you want, I guess.
Well, we wouldn't have had to schedule it if they were in the same conference, but now that they're not, then
We're booked out till 2036.
37.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, never mind that folks were scheduling games on Saturday, on Tuesday, the previous week. So during the pandemic. So if they wanted to play, they could play.
I don't think either of them want to play at this point.
Well, I mean, Brent Venables may not need to play.
He'd probably compete.
He needs to find some games he can win.
It's no question. That's completely off topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm excited. I think these uniforms are fantastic. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's going to look really good throwing touchdowns in that thing.
To DeAndre Hopkins.
To DeAndre Hopkins. And Chigo Okonkwo and Traylon Burks and all the receivers.
And Colton Dowell.
Come on, 14. I'm going to have to get me a Colton Dowell jersey.
That's it.
That's what I have to get. So let's take a break. Teresa Walker is standing by. We're going to talk a little bit more NFL on the other side of the break, but plenty to get to with T. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today. We'll come back to the Lee Company studio right after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. It is Reaction Monday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo Patton and Chris Young with you here, coming to you from Columbia and back in studio with a new floor. We got
New gear,
new all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're doing things right now.
We're like a kid at Christmas. We're like two kids at Christmas.
But also trying to get set back up and situated and all the things that go with that. So it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but we are excited to be here and excited to be back with Justin on the controls as we were last week and all the things that go with that. But we also have great guests today, including our next one, which is, of course, the Associated Press's TERESA Walker, who joins us. There she is. What's up?
Howdy, howdy. How are we doing after – anyone get rested up after SEC Media Days last week? Because I don't know about you, but I'm still tired. And training camp starts tomorrow. It's like I'm not ready for this.
I'm just trying to figure out what's with the gun show.
Well, it's technically an off day, so it's like I'm gonna try to go get some sun so I can be ready for the heat. I mean, trying to get ready for some sun and that build a base thing. Don't want to be out there Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and the sunscreen melts off. Okay. It's Tennessee, and we've seen the forecast for this week. At training camp, I don't care when you put it on, it just starts melting within the first 30 minutes. So you better have a little bit of a base of sun that not be the first time you step out this year, because it will hurt, and it will hurt quickly, and it will hurt a long time.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to tap into your knowledge of, TERESA, as we brought you on today, was the running back Zoom summit that took place over the weekend. What knowledge do you have of that?
Well, Derrick Henry was on that call, and he's going into the final year of his deal. And Josh Jacobs, who was on that call, and he was one of those who was franchise tagged and did not get an extension. He reportedly was seen getting on a plane leaving Vegas this morning. It's going to be very interesting to see how. Derrick Henry's under contract. And with the, we think, improved offensive line in Tennessee, now with the official signing today, not last week, as people got real excited on Thursday saying, "Ooh, he's tweeted or he's put on IG Live that he's signed. It's official." Folks, nothing is official till the John Hancock, or in this case, DeAndre Hopkins, is on the dotted line. And Derrick Henry was prominently featured in last night's uniform unveil. I'm just going to say this. It just feels like, the guys who are in that position, and Derrick will be this next year, for guys who got the franchise tag, they can also be tagged again next year, right? You can be tagged in consecutive seasons under the CBA. So trying to get an extension done is why the running backs are upset. But as somebody pointed out to me last night, fullbacks kind of disappeared from the game. You might have a lead back, but how many times is it called H-back? How many times we see a tight end just slide over and fill that spot? Fullback has kind of disappeared from the NFL game these days, right? Mm-hmm. For as great as Lorenzo Neal's career was, and he played 18 years and blocked for a ton of 1,000-yard rushers, the game is changing. Now, the thing is, Josh Jacobs, does he have the case that Saquon Barkley has? Does he have the case that Jonathan Taylor has? Does he have the case that Derrick Henry has? For some of these backs who are ticked off, understandably so, that they're being undervalued and seen as replacement parts in the NFL draft, the fact of the matter is Derrick Henry is a little different. Derrick Henry is one of 8 men to lead the season, to run for 2,000 yards in a season. He was on track to do that in 21 until the broken right foot. So it behooves Derrick Henry to have a great season this year, to remind some folks that, he's different. But yes, the market's probably going to be different for him next year if he hits free agency, because he's going to have a lot to say about this. Taking yourself off the field and leaving, and guys, when you're fined for not being in training camp, those fines are, they can't be waived. You have to pay them, right? So that's the problem that some of these guys face. So I'm really curious to see. I know that Saquon has talked about leaving not showing up for camp and things like that, and it's a move. I just, the last running back that really tried that, Le'Veon Bell. Did that work for him? No. He got a deal, but he ended up, it just didn't work out. So, a year ago we saw them reset the receiver market. A year, the safety market, the offensive. Every year a different position seems to get some attention. The challenge is the NFL game appears to be in a moment of change, and there are lots of good backs, the number of great backs, and I'll put Derrick Henry in that category, few and far between. So, and sometimes you can make your best argument by being available and on the field. And so I'm really curious to see which direction this ends up going, because, taking yourself out of the equation, and guys, we've been around the game long enough. That whole idea that needing to be in football shape, when you hold out of camp for any amount of time, you are falling behind, because the rest of these guys, there's a reason why the current CBA has a ramp up period. It's to get guys who've been off for 5-6 weeks from the offseason program. You can work out on your own. It's not football shape. There's a reason why there's a delay now. Used to be third day, they'd be in pads. Sunday mornings, third day of practice, they'd be in pads, pounding on each other, doing Oklahoma drills. They don't do that anymore. One, to keep them healthier as possible for a 17-game season, but to help them ramp back up to mitigate injuries. When guys hold out and then they come back, how many of them end up getting hurt? I love Blaine Bishop, but he held out for a new contract in 1997 when the Tennessee Oilers came to town, and he got hurt. And, sometimes things happen. And, so again, put yourself in the best situation to make your best case that you can't be replaced by some Jahmyr Gibbs fresh out of college. I'm just saying it, leaving, bye. You can be replaced. That's what the NFL teams are arguing. I can replace you with somebody cheaper, and you're not helping yourself by not sticking around and just leaving town. Somebody else will find the ability to. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are looking for a replacement for Nyheim Hines right now through no fault of his own, except for the fact that he was sitting on a jet ski and somebody crashed into him. So, hello, it's a cold, cruel world out there, and nowhere more cruel or more immediate than the meat market that is the NFL.
TERESA Walker of the Associated Press with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. By the way, happy birthday to Blaine Bishop.
Exactly. I took a picture with the Hitman on Thursday before leaving the SEC Media Days. And realizing that it's his 53rd, I'm just going to say it's like, wow, I was only I'm not going to say the years, but I wasn't much older than he was when I covered my first NFL season. So,
what are your thoughts about the throwbacks?
Love them. But then again, I'm somebody who watched. Granted, the uniforms were a little different when Earl Campbell was having that jersey yanked off of him by opposing defenders. Dan Pastorini, when they were playing Pittsburgh in consecutive AFC championship games, that was the Love You Blue era. That's what's in the neckline. So I like that little nod and that little throwback to those days, because guess what? Between those AFC championships and when the 1999 Tennessee Titans rebranded with the whole new uniform and nickname, because Tennessee fans were like, we thought we were getting an NFL team. We want our own NFL team. We don't have oil wells here. Trust me, I remember all of it, read all of it. I was there when they announced the Tennessee Oilers was what they were going to be called in Tennessee, in 97. I was there when they introduced in a tent next to Centennial, the Parthenon, the Tennessee Titans nickname. I love it. And as I tweeted out last night, one of the presents my husband got in 97 from his mom, not from me. I don't get autographs, not for me, not for anybody in my family, but his mama bought it for him. One of those Tennessee Oiler blue jerseys, Steve McNair's number, autographed by number 9. And I like that look. I mean, red, white, and blue. I mean, I know that Bud Adams was, loved his Columbia blue, but, the one thing that we've heard from players, if when they like how they look, to paraphrase the Men's Warehouse, when they like how they look, they usually go out and play a little better. At least they think so. And in the game of the NFL, Warren Moonshine did on it. He's happy to see him back in that. And credit to Amy Adams Strunk for, strengthening the ties with the old players. And if nothing else, if signing DeAndre Hopkins didn't tick off Houston Texans fans, these throwbacks have absolutely poured some gasoline on this rivalry that, let's face it. I mean, Titans have gone down 3 straight years. The Titans went to Houston and Derrick Henry ran all over them to run the Titans into the playoffs 3 straight years, the last 2 as AFC South champs. And now, I mean, this should get a little hotter when they meet, and hopefully they wear those throwbacks against the Texans in the game here, because they're going to be doing it in 2 home games. They tried to do it in a road game at Miami. Would have loved to have seen that, but at least 2 home games. So the bet seems to be against the Atlanta Falcons. And then I think the Falcons are here. I was looking at the schedule last night here, but Texans fans are all sorts of upset. And they're the people, maybe they forget their mayor is essentially the one that told Bud Adams, bye, Felicia, don't let the door hit you. We're not giving you a stadium. Nashville gave him a stadium. He took his team and he left.
Got a really good deal on that stadium too.
Yeah, well, now it's going to cost Nashville to build a decent one, but there you go. So what happens when you get nice on the cheap?
Yeah, it was a great deal for Bud Adams at the time. Not a great deal for Nashville, but Nashville's getting a better deal now, so it is what it is. Teresa, as kind of going back to the NFL situation, to the running back situation, how many positions are there on an NFL field that aren't basically replaceable within that rookie contract? Because it feels like maybe cornerback and safety, and then of course, quarterback if you get a good one. But I mean, there's not a lot of positions out there that aren't just, kind of almost throwaway. I can go get a new one next, in the next draft and be just as good.
Well, quarterback, I mean, as much as people say, and we heard this a lot before the draft in April, right? Get a quarterback, let Ryan Tannehill go, just yada, yada. And Ryan Tannehill is going to be the starting quarterback, barring, something untoward happening. Yes, knock on wood, whatever. But, he's the starter. And, but left tackle, Taylor Lewan held that job down for a while. And before him, it was Michael Ruse. And before that, it was Brad Hopkins. So think about it. This team is going into its 27th season here in Tennessee. 27. And they've essentially had 3 left tackles. Now, I'm not counting Turnstile Dennis Daly from last year. He was a replacement part. But, so left tackle.
You use that replacement term loosely.
Very loosely. I mean, like a pair of shorts with, that the waistband is just worn out and don't wear them out in public. So left tackle, quarterback, you can't compete in the NFL unless you have a franchise quarterback. You just can't. Sure. And for the people who don't think Ryan Tannehill is, excuse me, they were 3 minutes away from making the playoffs, even with him missing 5 starts. And he was trying to be back for the playoffs had they made it. So they did make the playoffs with the number 1 seed in the AFC when, no offense, Derrick Henry missed 9 games and was still 5th, I think, if I remember correctly, in the league in rushing, missing 9 games that season. A season he was on target to become the first guy potentially to lead the league in rushing 3 straight seasons for the first time since Emmitt Smith in the early 90s. And guys, I thought he had a chance to hit 2,000 again, which had never been done before. So Ryan Tannehill is what carried them to a number 1 seed. So people who were still ticked at those picks in the game against Cincinnati, you wouldn't have been in that game had it not been for Ryan Tannehill. So quarterback, safety. I mean, there's a reason why they gave Kevin Byard such a big deal and made him the highest paid safety for a moment. And cornerback, it used to be, between Champ Bailey and Darrelle Revis Island, things like that. It felt like cornerback was that position. Maybe it circles around again, but right now, safety does seem to be ahead of cornerback in that position. So defensive tackles Chris, Ford is certainly trying to join, Aaron Donald in the $30 million club for defensive tackles. So it seems to bounce around a little bit, but 5 positions: left tackle, quarterback. Well, quarterback's at the start. Left tackle, defensive lineman, safety. I'll put those 4.
That's it. So, I mean, let's remember that in this situation. Look, I'm all for. I think that running backs are undervalued because I think they're underutilized, and that's neither here nor there. But I can count on one hand the number of running backs that deserve paydays after their rookie deal. There just aren't many of them in the league right now. No. And Dalvin Cook probably was one of them, and he didn't even get paid. So maybe there's something to go on there. But I just thought it was interesting, and I think that it's worth noting that most positions in the NFL are pretty replaceable after that rookie deal. So,
well, I'm looking at SpotRack.com real quick, and there are 2 positions where the average salary across the league is less than running back. You want to guess which ones?
I would say guard.
Nope.
No, guard's not one? Interesting.
Nope. It is fullback and long snapper.
Oh.
That's
No,
pretty rough.
excuse me. Make that three. The other one's punter, and that's probably helped by the fact that Ryan Stonehouse is on a rookie contract right now.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's also worth noting. I think that there's got to be a happy medium somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's also, the reason the fullback disappeared from the pro game is because it disappeared from the college game, and it disappeared from the high school game. So, I mean, there's obviously a trickle up or trickle down. I'm not sure which one it was first, but with the way that offenses are changing at every level, things are just going to be different. And until running backs are, better utilized, it's going to be tough for them to get paid. And I hate that. Before we get you out of here, though, I do have a question. We'll get in more to this later, but we're trying to solve the mystery of the 5 voters who voted for Vanderbilt to win the SEC. It wasn't you.
It was, to quote Shaggy, it was me.
Okay.
I actually got on the shuttle bus Thursday and remember I got to vote. I like Clark Lee, but I'm sorry, I'm not taking a program that he's going into his 37, his 3rd season, coming off of a 5-7 season, and suddenly vaulting him past South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia in the East, and then the rest of the SEC. And just for some historical context, I double checked to be sure, because I wrote up that story on Friday. There were 8, they had like 8 points toward the SEC East, 5 votes for first to win the SEC. And I'm like, what? I checked with the SEC to make sure I wasn't reading that wrong. Okay.
To make a call.
Vanderbilt is a charter member of the SEC, has never, ever won the SEC title, ever. And now, granted, that the SEC was founded in 1932 and kind of missed Vanderbilt's glory years, which, Robert Nealon was hired in Knoxville at Tennessee in the 1920s with the express mission of beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has never won the SEC. So get back to a bowl. I mean, when Greg Sankey introduced Clark Lee last Tuesday morning, he pointed out that they had their first road win since 2018, that they had their first SEC win since, 2019. I mean, when you're talking about firsts like that, let's get back to the first bowl game since 2018 before we pick them to win the SEC East. I'm just saying.
Just making sure, because I'm sitting there going, okay, the just check Teresa off the list. It wasn't her.
Just scratch through her.
All right. Well, we'll go to the next one. Teresa, thanks again for taking time with us. We always appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. And sorry I didn't turn on the overhead light. It's always lighter before I come online.
You're good.
It's okay. We can see you.
That's all that matters.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye. Take care.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Alex Anthopoulos making money moves on just ahead of the trade deadline. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
In a rare year where the Braves were sellers approaching the trade deadline, Atlanta sent Jaime Garcia to the Minnesota Twins along with catcher Anthony Recker for minor leaguer Huascar Ynoa. Garcia was 4-7 with a 4.30 ERA at the time of the trade, but was viewed as a depth piece for the Twins after going 62-45 with a 3.57 ERA in 8 seasons with St. Louis. Recker also acquired for his backup value, never played for the Twins. Ynoa, meanwhile, got a shot at making significant contributions with the Braves in 2021 before battling injuries the last couple of years, including a broken hand and Tommy John. So that was this day in Braves history.
You said Tommy John and my elbow started hurting. I swear, I'm not kidding. Like I just got this sharp pain in my elbow just randomly. That was
interesting. I didn't realize I had the kind of
up here. It's the crystal ball and everything else going into it. So, man, what a weekend for the Braves. They take the series against the Brewers, but
in pretty dramatic fashion in both cases.
No doubt.
Because I mean that slider that Kirby Yates threw to end the game Friday night was a piece of art to preserve that 6-4 win. Yeah, because there were 2 runners on.
There was a 4-2 win in there.
That was yesterday.
Yes, and then 6-4 on 6-4
Friday. 6-4 on Friday, yeah. And then Devin Williams, Milwaukee's all-star reliever, strikes out Ozzie to end the 4-3 game on Saturday.
The bases loaded.
Yeah. All he had to do was put something in play. It happens. I mean, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. They drive Mercedes too.
They do.
And
it's an all-star reliever.
And Devin Williams is especially nice because he's an all-star. So.
Yeah.
But Ozzie exacted his revenge yesterday.
He did, in fact, with the home run that
reversed a 2-1 deficit in the top of the 8th.
It was in the top of the 8th, 3-run homer, and gave the Braves the win essentially after Raciel Iglesias with another save. But we got to talk about Austin Riley since July 18th. Dude's upped his batting average 9 points since the end of the White Sox series, where he was 1 for 11 in the series. Since then, he has 10 hits in 6 games. Of those 10 hits, 6 of them are home runs. And he has more home runs than he has strikeouts
through
the last 6 games.
And at least 2 of those other hits were extra bases. One was a double and one was a triple, which I need to go back and watch that triple. I didn't get to see that in real time.
I missed the triple. Yeah. It shouldn't be hard to find on MLB Film Room because Austin Riley triple shouldn't be difficult. Shouldn't be many of those to sift through.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he went 0 for 4 yesterday, but up until that point, I mean, the dude was just had been on a tear. And, I don't know what happened and what's up, but
I think Marcell Ozuna must have had the same conversation with Austin that he had with Michael Harris about 6 weeks or so ago. Maybe 2 months now. Maybe someone should have that conversation with Marcell Ozuna, though.
Yeah, he needs to take a look in the mirror and say he's the best DH in the league and see what happens. But
not just in the league, in baseball. That's what
right.
He told Michael.
Yeah. I know that you mentioned it earlier, the list of players and how
Arcia, Rosario, and Ozuna all batting less than 200 since June 22nd.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it, because there was a tweet that was a little bit even more in depth before, and it was sent out before Ozzy went homer yesterday. Here it was. In the last 7 games, Matt Olson, 4 for 21, 7 Ks. Ozzy was 1 for 23, 7 Ks. Rosario, 4 for 21 with 7 Ks. Murphy, 3 for 26 with 9 Ks. Ozuna, 1 for 22 with 7 Ks. That's 11 for 113, an 0.97 batting average. 37 Ks, a 33% K rate for the number 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 hitters.
Okay.
That's not good.
No, it's not good.
But I mean, and that's the thing is, like, we knew the Braves couldn't keep up the torrid pace they had in June. It was going to happen. And I'd much rather it happen now than in September.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, we picked up 2 games in the NL East.
Yeah. I mean, the closest team to the Braves right now are with the Marlins and the Phillies, and each of them are 11.5 back.
Yes.
Yes. So, biggest divisional lead in baseball, most wins in baseball.
The Braves have a bigger lead over the second best team in baseball than anyone else has in their division.
Who's the second best team, Baltimore or Tampa Bay?
Probably Baltimore, because Tampa Bay, didn't they fall out?
Yeah. Baltimore is 61 and 38.
So
what's that, 3.5? Yeah.
And nobody else. There's a half game lead in the NL Central, 4 games in
the West.
And 2 for the Orioles, 3 for the Twins, and 3 for the Astros. So Rangers. I guess, Rangers are 3 back. But
Rangers are 3 up.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
You're good.
Goodness gracious. But, I mean, still, the Braves are a half game from having a bigger lead over the second best team in baseball than anyone else has in their division. I don't know why I'm worried about this team. I'm not worried about this team. I don't know why anybody else is worried about this team.
Well, but again, and we've said it here before, I don't think anybody is worried about this team from now to the end of September.
What happens when you get into, the playoffs? But again, you said this earlier, the Braves have not lost a series against anybody leading their division.
Yeah.
The Braves play their best baseball against the best teams.
Now, if you could tell their fans that.
And that's why I get so frustrated. And I'm like, crap, why are we losing series to the freaking White Sox and Athletics? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like it's completely opposite from what should be happening, and that's why it's frustrating. And yet you just have to go, well, that's baseball.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but sometimes it's okay.
You talked about AA making money moves. Why don't you go ahead and
he is making
crack
those moves.
into that?
And one of them is
neither of them on their face make you go, well, or maybe they do make you go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll start with the first move that was made today. Pierce Johnson, right-hander from Colorado. And look, I don't look at anybody from Colorado. I don't look at their numbers except for away from Coors Field. And he's been decent away from Coors Field, and I think that that's important. 32-year-old has played in 43 games. He has completed 14 of 16 save attempts.
Successfully?
Successfully.
Okay.
So I think that's important. 13.38 strikeouts per 9. That's the sixth most in baseball. Now, he also has a 6.0 ERA and a 1-5 record. So he's given up some leads. And I think that's something, that is obviously necessary to talk about. But I feel like, and they gave up, by the way, Tanner Gordon and Victor Vodnik. And Vodnik a lot of people have been high on Vodnik. So
3-1 with a 3.10 ERA at Mississippi.
He's 8-9 record overall, 3.48 ERA over 99 career minor league games. 14th round pick of the 18 draft, and was the Braves' 10th ranked prospect. So, also they designated Lucas Luque for assignment to make room on the 40-man. They also, since they got rid of left-handed pitcher Lucas Luque, needed to go get one. So they did. Taylor Hearn from Texas was traded in exchange for cash considerations because Texas was basically saying, hey, whatever you can give us, we'll take. If you got baseballs, we'll take those. We don't really care at this point. 12-15 in his career with the Rangers, 5.11 ERA over 92 games, including 25 starts. 4 appearances with Texas this year in relief. He pitched a 10.29 ERA, 8 earned runs in 7 innings pitched, and struck out 7.
This was in 4 relief appearances basically early in the year because he had been optioned down to Round Rock before the Rangers designated him for assignment last week. And I don't know what his numbers were at Round Rock, but it sounds like they needed a spot on the 40-man for somebody, which is probably why they DFA'd him. I don't know what his Round Rock numbers were. I'd be interested to know because
24 appearances for Round Rock, 2-2 with a 3.66 ERA, 54 strikeouts in this year.
So, I mean,
better.
Yeah. Better than the 10.29 in 4 appearances at the major league level. So maybe he showed enough for them to feel like there was something for them to work with.
This should be an interesting game.
Excuse me.
Originally drafted by the Washington Nationals in the 5th round of the 2015 first-year player draft, he was acquired by Pittsburgh along with Felipe Vasquez in exchange for Mark Melancon in 2016.
Wow.
So there you go.
There's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Where is that guy? Is he in baseball?
I don't think so.
I'm going to go to San Diego because I want to play for a winner.
And then I guess he's pitching for Arizona. He's on the IL right now.
That's unfortunate.
But yes, he is with Arizona right now.
When you type in Mark Melancon, one of the first questions that come up is Mark Melancon still playing baseball?
18 saves this year.
None against us.
Don't know how he has a 3-10 record.
Yikes. With 18 saves?
With 18 saves and 56 innings pitched.
That's kind of crazy. So he's gotten 13 decisions and 18 saves? That's wild.
That's something.
Yeah.
I am absolutely flabbergasted by these numbers. Oh, that was last year. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. He hasn't played this year. He's been injured since.
He's been on. So he was injured in spring training then.
It must have been. Okay. That makes a little more sense. 'Cause it's like, how? How do you have that's over 100 games? That's a lot. It's a lot over 162.
Right.
It's still a lot, but it makes a little more sense. But yeah, so the Braves now have a right-hander and a left-hander coming in. And for those of you who are concerned, I have 2 words for you: Ben Heller. I will also remind you that the Braves at one time traded for a guy hitting 197, a guy on the 60-day IL, and Jock Peterson to replace Ronald Acuna Jr. and somehow won a World Series.
So there you go.
So maybe we just let it play out and see what happens, huh? How about that?
How about that?
We just let
Catch
it go.
me outside.
I got that. I'm not going to give AA any issues. I ain't saying nothing to him.
No, I mean,
do what you do, man. Let him cook.
Let AA cook, and if anybody has any issues with him, it's not me. No.
So
just gonna let this roll out, see what happens,
and that's all you can do. Let's take a break. Brad Willis is standing by and tell us about all of the fun that they had over the weekend at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, inducting a new class. So stick around. Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton on this Reaction Monday, reacting to all the news that's in sports from across the entire landscape today, because there's just not a lot of sports going on. So you find the news wherever you find it, Mo.
Yeah. Well, we've got something else that we probably need to touch on in the next segment. But in this segment, speaking of things going on across the landscape, there was something going on in Nashville Saturday night.
Yeah, and it was, and that's kind of, it's smart on the part of guys like Brad Willis to be holding their events during this time of year, because there's just not a lot going on. And so that's why we're talking about it. And so let's do that right now and bring in the executive director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, Brad Willis. What's up, man?
Whoa.
Hey, Mo. Hey, Chris. How's it going?
What's that?
You got to stand up and give us the full effect.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you the full effect.
Wow.
Okay.
Today's the day. Had to break it out today.
Wow.
This has been in the closet. This has been in the closet for 25 years, so I had to break it out.
You can't hide money. Look at this. Brad Willis.
I go back. It's like when the Oilers organization moved to Nashville or to Tennessee in '97. I remember they had my attention, because you guys know, you grew up in this area, and all you got was the national game of the week, which was mostly just the Dallas Cowboys every week. And so Tennessee had a pro football team, and I was excited about it. And I remember especially that '98 year, just appointment, television for me. I would take my grandmother to church on Sundays, and we'd get done with church and we'd go watch the Oilers games. And so this was the uniform that they wore for those 2 years. And today's the day or yesterday, obviously they bring it back. So I felt like today I'd dust this off and a little Oilers love.
So I take it that you approve then of the throwbacks.
I do. I think they're great. I think they're really sharp. I think that's one of the best, uniforms in professional sports history. I love the powder blue, and really kind of the history of that. And obviously they wore that uniform for a long, long time before, the organization changed to the Titans in '99. So I'm glad to see that it's back. And I'm glad that they're going to utilize it, what sounds like at least a couple times in the coming season. So, I was happy to see it.
Brad Willis, Executive Director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Brad, you all had your 2023 Hall of Fame induction class Saturday night. And, we've talked about the members of that class, but we didn't get to talk to you between letting all of them know and the induction. And anybody that keeps up with your reveals knows that there's always a gotcha component to those. Who was your best gotcha out of this class?
It's a good question. Probably a tie this year. We did a couple. There's always a lot of trickery and creative truth telling, if you will. Misdirection. We told Tiana Madison that we were interviewing her for a podcast about track and field. We had Sharifa Barksdale, who was an inductee last year, and a sorority sister and a former Lady Vol take part in that. We surprised Steve Smith at an MTSU women's basketball game. We told him that he needed to be there early and in his seat, because we had some new businesses and donors that we wanted him to meet. And then we surprised Keith Bullock at a Titans ticket holder event with Rand Carthon, where they were on stage and kind of talking about Rand's, Rand coming to Nashville, and Keith and Rand, and how their careers overlapped a little bit. And so they brought me out of the back during a Q&A, and we dropped the news on Keith. And so it's always good when you can get somebody where they're not expecting news like that. And we were able to do it a handful of times. So it was a lot of fun.
Brad, tell us, obviously we know about the folks who were inducted, but you also hand out a couple other awards during this thing. And it's obvious, every year you get a chance to talk about some of the teams or individuals who had a really special year prior. So who are some of those folks that we need to recognize?
Absolutely. So our female amateur team of the year was MTSU women's basketball. Our female amateur player of the year was Maya Jones, soccer player from the University of Memphis. Our amateur male team of the year was Tennessee baseball, not for what they did most recently, but really for their 2022 campaign. And then our male amateur player of the year was Hendon Hooker from the University of Tennessee. Our professional athlete of the year, and when you look at what he did this year in earning the Golden Boot and the MVP award, it was pretty easy to name Hani Mukhtar our pro player of the year. And so we were glad that a good number of those were in attendance on Saturday. Hani was there, Maya was there, Coach Rick Insel was there. Obviously Hendon in Detroit for training camp, and so he wasn't able to join us. Then we had the class of 1958 from Oak Ridge High School. It was their 65th anniversary of their national championship football team, the mythical national championship, as it were. And so we had several members of that team there that night. We also celebrated Jerry the King Lawler as our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And we gave our Tennessean of the Year award to a trio of individuals in Coach Josh Heupel, Chancellor Dondi Plowman, and Dr. Danny White for the work that they put in to return Tennessee football to prominence in 2022. And so both the Chancellor and Dr. White were there. And so it was a great opportunity to kind of touch base with them and just congratulate them for all that they've done. And that, of course, on top of our 12-member induction class, it was a star-studded night from top to bottom.
There wasn't any booing from the Vanderbilt faithful when you introduced those three, was there?
No, that's the great thing. Everybody's so respectful. And, we've got these, factions and clusters of tables where people are all in there together. But, it's a great night. It hurt my heart so badly that we weren't able to hold it in 2020 and 2021. And obviously with the pandemic, so many events like that got canceled. Last year was the first under my watch. And so we celebrated 3 years worth of classes. And this year, just a really fun event and a good time in the calendar. As you guys mentioned, not a lot going on right now, which meant that so many people could be there. Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel were there in attendance. And, so many others as you walk through and see that, it really lines up great with the sports schedule and means that a lot of individuals can be there and in attendance. And they do a great job of celebrating each other and kind of rooting each other on.
That's all, and that is interesting that you mentioned that, because we were at the Tennessee Press Association Awards on Friday, and it just seems like those are the kind of events where you can put some things aside and give folks a hand for the work that they did, no matter what they did or where they are
or who they did it for.
Exactly, and so right. It's nice that there is some camaraderie there, and it's great. But I love that Tennessee was so prominent, like you said, with Hendon Hooker and the baseball team, because Tennessee was also named the athletic department of the year by CBS Sports earlier today. So it goes to show, and like you said, what Danny White and Dondi Plowman have done with that program is just insane. So it's nice that Tennessee, like you said, has finally kind of gotten back to some prominence here. And I expect we will be seeing more of that going forward. And that means that more folks from Tennessee will be inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame in the future. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any tips from Brad, but as we've talked before, there's always somebody that comes up either in conversation or someone when you find out that they're being inducted, and the response is they're not already in. And I'm sure that there are plenty of those kind of still out there that you guys are kind of eyeing a little bit, or maybe trying to nudge the committee toward, that kind of thing.
We get reminded of those almost on a weekly or monthly basis. Somebody's name will come up and you sit back and you go, wow, how's that person not already in? And honestly, the answer is most people, if they've reached a certain level, people assume that they are, right? And so it's hard to make a nomination for someone who you feel like has probably already been honored. So, I encourage people to go to our website and check it out. You can search, alphabetically by last name for all of our inductees. And if there's somebody that you feel like, deserves the honor, there's a nomination form on the site, and you can be the person to make that nomination. We accept nominations from the public. Really all it takes is a nomination form and a short letter accompanying it saying why you believe that they deserve to be recognized. And that gets the ball rolling and gets it to our committees and gets us considering it. And as you said, there are several who aren't in, and we'll nudge athletics departments and things like that from time to time and say, hey, so-and-so isn't in yet. You guys can fix that, at least, the process part of it with a nomination. And so it's always helpful to be forward thinking in that way.
And, as I look at this class that you just inducted Saturday night, one of those type honorees for me would be, former Tennessee State Athletics Director TERESA Lawrence Phillips. I mean, how?
Right. Yeah.
100%
agree.
Not just, what she did as an athlete at Vanderbilt, not just what she did as a coach at Tennessee State, but then administratively there as well. I mean, she's just kind of been on the landscape on a statewide basis for 40 years.
And
more.
She's one of these, Mo, that checks every box, because when you talk about people that are born in the state and then essentially spend their entire career in athletics in this state, played collegiately in this state, was a coach and was an administrator in this state, born on Lookout Mountain, and went to Vanderbilt on an academic scholarship before they even had a women's basketball team. TERESA Lawrence Phillips checks every box. And so you're 100% right. And we were so thrilled that she was part of this group.
Absolutely.
I am absolutely just so intrigued by Jerry the King Lawler in this Lifetime Achievement Award. Look, I am as big of a fan of Jerry the King Lawler as there could ever be, but this is the same guy who lost a Kiss My Foot match.
I don't know what that is, and I don't think I want to.
If you lose the match, you got to kiss the other guy's foot. That was it. And so, but I love that you guys not only are talking about, guys who are people who are in the world of sports, but also sports entertainment. I mean, there's no doubt that professional wrestlers are among some of the most talented athletes in all of the world. And so the fact that I guess my thought is, even if they're on the fringe of sports, maybe even,
Brad, what
that in?
What was the discussion around honoring Jerry the King Lawler? Because as Chris kind of alludes to, professional wrestling is not professional. I mean, it's prescriptive. It's sports entertainment. It's not sports per se. What was that conversation like in the room as you consider whether or not to recognize this guy?
It was a 3-year conversation. Actually, I want to take that back. 20, 21, 22, 23. It was a 4-year conversation.
For that very reason?
And for that very reason. We sat in committees and we discussed it. And there were times when we had other nominees and we said, what is sports entertainment versus sport, and what does that look like? And his name is one that kept coming up. And the reason that it kept coming up is because there are few people who are more synonymous with the city of Memphis, Tennessee than Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, when you think about it. And so we had kind of a deep discussion, and we passed it along to committees. We passed it to a nomination committee to review. What do we think? What precedent are we setting, if there is one? And we kept coming back to the same conversation, in that, if you want to call professional wrestling sports entertainment, as it's kind of been known to call, well, it's sports. It's athletics. Whether it's pre-scripted or choreographed or whatever you want to call it. And so it was not something that we did on a whim or even lightly. We had several conversations with our committees to try to kind of figure out what the proper approach was. And it was a 4-year process that when we got to this year's conversation, we had a nomination on file from Knoxville Mayor Glenn Jacobs, who many people know as a WWE wrestler, a superstar in himself, known as Kane. Mayor Jacobs sent us a nomination, and we talked to several folks. He was put into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame last year, and was honored as the Liberty Bowl's distinguished citizen just about a month ago. And so, like I said, we considered a lot of different things about it. But let me tell you, when we brought Jerry Lawler on stage on Saturday night, he had a full room standing ovation, and it was unbelievable, the reception for him.
So is there hope for Lance Russell then?
There's absolutely, because now the door's open, right? I mean, there's a ton of guys who made their way through the state of Tennessee, or were born in the state of Tennessee. And that's not going to be something that we're recognizing yearly by any stretch. But it's good to know that we've kind of gone down that road and we've discussed it. And again, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who's more associated with their city than Jerry the King Lawler, and that being Memphis. And he still calls Memphis home to this day.
Well, I think that is really, and again, like you said, going into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame, that has to help you guys a little bit, because you've got somebody. Well, he's in their Sports Hall of Fame. It's okay,
kind of legitimizes him to some degree.
Gives you a little cover.
Well, we're looking for prerequisites. I mean, a lot of times we'll get a nomination for a coach who is primarily a high school coach. And one of the things that we like to try to look toward has the TSSAA recognized this coach. And if the TSSAA has recognized him and he's amongst the greats of high school, then, obviously, that should stand for something. And so, Memphis Hall of Fame induction certainly gave his candidacy a little bit more legs. And like I said, I looked around the room on Saturday night as he was going up on stage, and quietly to myself, I thought, you know what, we got to the right decision, because it was clear that everybody in the room appreciated kind of what he meant to sports and the history of the state.
Well, I was certainly jealous of Chip Walters getting a photo with him. So
I saw that.
Yeah, I was a little jelly, but that's okay. We'll talk to Chip about that tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Yes.
But Brad Willis of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame here with us. And obviously, Brad, let folks know the website. I know it's TSHF.net, but what can they do there? What do folks need to know about the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame?
You can come visit us. We are free to tour until the end of September, thanks to our friends at Vanderbilt University. Vanderbilt Athletics Department. You can come play in our golf tournament on September 26th. We're holding a golf tournament presented by the Tennessee Lottery on September 26th at Hermitage Golf Course. We're playing General's Retreat at 1:00, and we'd love to have you there. And just check out our website for just information on everything that we're doing, or if you want to figure out who's in the hall, or if you'd like to make a nomination. You said it, you got it perfectly right. TSHF.net is the website, and you can check us out there, figure out how to support us. We're a nonprofit that's supported by donations and events and sponsorships, and so if you want to support a nonprofit that's working to keep the history of sports alive in our state, we're certainly an avenue for that.
And be sure while you're there to check out the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Hall of Fame kiosk.
That's right. It's even been updated for 2023.
Y'all are all over it. That's awesome. There's a certain guy in there.
There's a couple, but there's a certain one that I know of that's in there.
One particular.
Yeah, one in
That's right.
particular.
If you're looking in the P's, just hit the P. There you go. Brad, thanks for taking time with us. It's always a pleasure, and looking forward to what you guys come up with next year. And I'm sure we will be down there at some point to say hello and broadcast from the building.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, we will take a break. When we come back, SEC football preseason poll, preseason first and second and third teams, I believe.
I think so.
So all of that coming your way in just a moment on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after these short messages.
What are you trying to tell us?
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are live from the Lee Company studio, and
eventually we'll get used to these new earpieces.
yeah, it's a lot to get, because it used to just stick it on and be good. But
Yeah.
you got to really kind of work these in. But they sound great.
They do, and I hope they make us sound great.
And they look, you don't even know we got them in. I mean, which is
Except when we're messing with them.
well, but you know, you kind of look. This is supposed to be a TV show. It used to be a radio show. There's a radio show with a camera.
Cameras. Yeah, now it's
If
a TV
if
show.
it's going to be a TV show, we don't need to look like we're on radio. So we got rid of the big microphones. We got rid of the big headsets. Everything's kind of low profile, feeling good. got our nice table back after we found it. Put some 97-cent poster board up here on that. We're trying to be big time. We balling on a budget. Is what we're doing.
If we're balling at all, it's most definitely on a budget. Yeah.
Oh man! Speaking of balling, apparently 8 people, as we mentioned earlier, think that Vanderbilt's going to be balling this football season as they picked them to win the East.
Big balling.
And 5 of those 8 who picked Vanderbilt to win the East decided that they were also going to win the SEC championship. I am very curious as to who won the West in those other 3 ballots. I mean, was it Mississippi State beating Vanderbilt in the championship? Because someone did pick Mississippi State to win.
There you go. That makes sense.
So I guess I don't know, but yeah, as we take a look at this, obviously Georgia.
Yeah, oh, stop. Okay, so Vanderbilt received 8 votes to win the SEC East, and they still were the number 7 team in the poll by a lot. So, and it makes you wonder if those 8 votes go to somebody else, it
wouldn't be good.
So,
and here's the thing. Look, I did not have Vanderbilt last in the East.
Neither did I.
I did not have Vanderbilt last in the East. I'm just going to put that out there.
Do you have your ballot? Because I saved mine.
I do have my ballot. I don't want to go through it just yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
But screw it.
That's okay.
No,
we can do it another time.
No, let's just yeah.
Let's do it another time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Because I don't have Vanderbilt last, and I just wonder, golly, they're more than 200 points behind Missouri.
Right. Number 6, Missouri.
And I don't know how the points work. I don't know if it's
I'm not
7 points for first place and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
It might be 7 points for first place because Georgia got 265 first place votes and 2011 total points.
So that's pretty close-ish.
So if they got 7 points for first place, and that would be 1855, just that.
That makes sense.
And then
you can't imagine that many people had them below second.
Right. So that's what, another 18.
Yeah, that's probably what it needs. So there were how many total votes?
Looks like 279. Looks like 283, roughly 290 votes, just a little less than 300 votes, looks like.
So if you got 1 point for being 7th, that would, I mean, I think that's interesting because that would mean Vanderbilt was not last in a lot of people's ballots. Let's put it that way. But they still ended up last by a large.
Yeah, and it's like somebody tweeted over the weekend, voting Vanderbilt last in the SEC East is a little lazy.
Yeah, it is. I think there are 3 teams that could potentially be last in the SEC East. That could all finish
last
5, 6, 7. And I think they're just kind of and that's why it's a little lazy.
And Vanderbilt isn't the only one of those that received first place votes either.
That's correct. And so I mean, I'm not here to shame anybody's vote.
No, I'm not into policing
care.
votes. I mean, you gotta cast your vote and be comfortable with it. But I mean, I just hope that people are treating the process with respect.
I certainly think there are some who aren't. And I mean, Auburn, 4 votes to win the West. Arkansas with 3 votes, I can see. But Auburn, Mississippi State, yeah, they got their quarterback, but I mean, it just, I don't know. I think that's kind of the problem. here is that I'm not sure that everybody respected the process. And look, I mean, it's a crapshoot. We talked about it all week last week, especially the SEC West crap. Just put them in a bucket and pull them out and see what happens. But I think, obviously Alabama and LSU right there neck and neck. Alabama got about 40-ish, almost 50 more votes to win the West than LSU. But again, that's kind of a, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I think. And I think picking Georgia to win the East is also as lazy as picking Vandy to win the West at this point.
Or Vandy to finish last in the East. Again, as we talked last week, the quarterback situation, they're improving at quarterback. They feel good about their quarterback. I don't know of a coach that doesn't feel good about their quarterback situation at SEC football media days. But, I mean, when you get out there and you're actually making decisions and executing plays and that kind of thing, this guy hasn't done that.
Right.
So,
well, here's one thing that's going to help them. 4 of their 5 offensive linemen are on the first or second team.
It doesn't hurt.
And so
that doesn't hurt at all.
I mean, that'll definitely help your quarterback situation. Because just about anybody, as long as they're upright, for a long enough period of time, they can make a good decision.
Makes a difference.
So
they've got 3 first-team linemen, like you said, Amarius Mims, Tate Ratledge, and Cedric Van Tron. And, the tight end.
Who's as good of a blocking tight end as there is in the game.
And
future Tennessee Titan.
I just think he might be the best tight end in college football.
Oh, I don't think there's any question of it.
And then Xavier Trust, second team, like you said. So, and a second team running back and a first team receiver.
Which gives you, I mean, to me, that gives you kind of confidence for Georgia. But that being said,
nobody on the third team for Georgia offensively.
What? Nobody? They're all on the first 2 teams. That's how that works. I mean, anybody returning was on the first 2 teams. And I think that's kind of, that's Georgia. They're the 2-time defending national champions. They're
also 6 first team defenders.
And look, that's kind of what you expect. I mean, it's hard to vote against guys who have won back-to-back natties.
I mean, they just really elevated the talent level over the last 5 years immensely. I mean, it's crazy to have that kind of representation on the first team. Again, 6 on defense and 5 on offense.
It's insane. And this is, I mean, LSU comes in second with 3 on the first team. And that's it. Everybody else has got 1 or fewer,
right.
Obviously. But Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Will Campbell, Jaden Daniels and KJ Jefferson, I would love to know the vote tally there because, I mean, they were my 2. And I think probably most folks, because Joe Milton and Will Rogers being third-team quarterbacks and tying means that like 5 people voted for them each, probably. So, although based on a tweet that I saw from Teresa Walker, she may have been one of those people who voted Joe Milton first-team All-SEC.
Well, who was it? Jordan Rogers?
Jordan Rogers said he's the most talented quarterback in the country. Look, I don't disagree, but Jaden Daniels and KJ Jefferson have done it consistently. Joe Milton lost his job, obviously, in the Pitt game 2 years ago. Now, he did have a fantastic end to the season. There's no denying what he did against Vanderbilt and against Clemson.
I don't think there's any denying what he did against either of them. I also feel like Joe Milton's ceiling may be higher than either
anybody,
KJ Jefferson's or Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what Jordan Rogers is speaking to when he makes that kind of comment.
I think so. I think he's definitely talking about the potential, because I mean you can't deny what Caleb Williams has done. Like he won the Heisman Trophy last year. But Joe Milton, to me, is probably the highest potential of any quarterback in the country. And by the end of the year, I will not be surprised if Joe Milton is the postseason first-team All-SEC quarterback, especially in a Josh Heupel system. Outside of that, you mentioned Quinshon Judkins and Raheem Sanders. I don't even know how they got second and third team guys.
Because you had to vote for X number.
You could only vote for 2.
Was it? Oh, is that right? Was it only 2 running backs?
It was just 2. Maybe it may have been 4. If it was 4, then that's how they got there. But,
right.
I mean, I don't know if there's only 2. I don't know how you vote for anybody.
No, it is 4.
Okay.
You voted for 4.
Well, that's
first and second team.
Yeah. How did you get a third team?
How did you get?
I guess the second.
After
those 2.
Yeah, after those 2, then there was probably a log jam there. But
And Jace McClellan from Alabama, who was a very, very, very backup running back last year, being second team, just tells you that after Quinshon Judkins and Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, it's wide open.
Well, and having Alabama next to your name carries a little weight.
Doesn't hurt. Trevor Etienne, I know I voted for him. I think, I think that's got to be part of it. Brew McCoy did make the top, the second team, as well as Javonte Spraggins made third team for Tennessee, as well as Cooper Mays. I think Tennessee does not have a lot of representation on this offense here, Mo.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if most of that is because a lot of those folks graduated, a lot of the big-time playmakers graduated.
I think that's fair.
But if you go back and watch that Clemson game, and this is what I told the Clemson fans, they're like, well, we had backups in too. I said, yeah, but those backups are now your starters. And our backups that are now our starters beat yours like a drum. Because people aren't sitting out bowl games if they're playing the next year.
Right.
They're only sitting them out if they're gone. So I'm telling you that our now starters beat your now starters like a drum. but it was a small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Squirrel White could be in there. I think Tennessee's got a lot of wide receivers who could potentially be postseason All-SEC performance. Defensively, Mikal Wingo, Mason Smith. You said six Georgia players. Again, LSU with 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 Alabama dude, which is Kool-Aid, and that's it. Oh, Dallas Turner. I'm sorry, Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid. So it was Georgia, LSU, Alabama. That's it, first team. Are we really surprised? No. And the second team is not that much different. I mean, let's see, as I'm looking over, Chris Abrams-Drain, who we had on the show, was named second team preseason, along with Malachi Moore. This Alabama secondary is going to be really good, by the way.
Tonka Hemingway and J.J. Weaver are also making the list. We had both of them on the show.
We did.
So here you go.
Your long snapper from Vandy did not make the list.
He did not. And I was a little surprised and a little disappointed that former Pearl Cone long snapper and MLK graduate Wesley Snelling did not make that team, those teams.
I'll be honest with you. I voted, but I didn't know. I don't watch enough long snappers to know.
Understandably. It's kind of a name recognition thing as much as anything when you get to that point with special teamers and probably to some degree with offensive linemen as well.
But one name is not on here, and I'm shocked. Berrien Brown. No return specialist, no kickoff specialist.
No receiver, no nothing.
No all-purpose. I thought Berrien Brown was as dynamic as anyone in the league last year.
You know why you thought that? Because he was.
Well, and because I paid attention.
Because he was.
And I think that's part of what you were saying, taking the process seriously. I mean, did anybody really, and I mean, obviously, like I just said, I didn't watch a whole lot of long snappers, but I did watch kickoffs and I did watch punts.
Right.
I know who the kickers are. I know who the punters are. I know who the returners are. And guys who specialize in those things. I mean, obviously, Barry Brown is a great wide receiver, and so is Anais Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And Anais Smith he was on my list. He was the returner on all of my lists, he and Barry and Brown. So clearly people know who these guys are. It kind of blew me away that Barry and Brown did not make the list.
It's okay. Hopefully that will be a little fuel for him.
Hopefully it is. I did think it was interesting that South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Auburn had the 3 punters. The teams that punted the most.
I'm not sure that's necessarily an award that you really want for your team. Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm good.
Yeah,
it's too bad that everyone knows who I am.
They got really good punters.
And everyone knows their names because they've heard them a lot. So I just thought that was interesting. Before we get out of here, anything that just stands out to you that you want to mention
from SEC football media days?
From this particular segment here?
No, I think we did a pretty good job of covering this. Hang on. Did we mention conclusively who Vanderbilt did have on here? Because you did mention that Wesley did not make it. The long snapper. There's not a Vanderbilt player on this list.
That's why I was going to say, I don't think anybody made it.
That's why you didn't mention it, huh? Yeah.
But if you saw it, please feel free to tell me.
No, I did not see it. I do not see it. There is not a single Vanderbilt player on first, second, or third team, offense, defense, or special teams. That's wild. I mean, not
especially for a team that's going to win the East and win a championship if you're among those 5.
Yeah, I mean, not the receiver, Will Shepherd.
He was on my list. I voted for Will Shepherd because mainly because Chris Lee said a lot of folks are going to have a hard time guarding him. But it's interesting how some of these things work out.
Folks sleeping on Vanderbilt.
Clearly. Media predicted order to finish in Conference USA, and we'll probably talk about this a little more tomorrow, but I did want to mention it. Middle Tennessee State picked to finish 3rd. Western Kentucky to win it with 18 first-place votes. Liberty gets 4 first-place votes, and that's all there was. 22 folks at Conference
So 22 voters for Conference USA and 291 for the SEC. Once again,
it just means more and more and more.
And more.
Jacksonville State not picked to finish last. FIU and Sam Houston.
Where's New Mexico State?
5th, actually. Right behind La Tech, right above UTEP. So it's Western, Liberty, MTSU, La Tech, New Mexico State, UTEP, Jacksonville State, FIU, and Sam Houston. That's the predicted order of finish.
So Middle picked to finish 3rd and Western 1st. Don't like that.
Well,
as Steve Carroll would say.
And then Liberty with new head coach Jamie Chadwell. Should be interesting.
I'm still kind of amazed that for all the buzz that he got, that was the move that he wound up making coming out of Coastal. And it feels lateral to me.
It might be lateral in everything but one particular instance. And I can tell you, it ain't a whole lot of money out there like Falwell money. That's all I'm saying. It's not a whole lot out there. At that level, it's not nobody else.
Have you been to Lynchburg?
Yes, I have. And let me tell you.
No, Lynchburg, Virginia
Yes.
now, not Tennessee.
Yes. Although,
Okay, I just want to be sure.
Neither of them really make an impression as an overall. There's only one thing in either of those two places, and they're complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
They're 360 degrees apart, right?
Yes, Jason, kid, we're going to turn this team around 360 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
But so Liberty is, I mean, there's still in there, but they got great facilities. And, you know, I think it's interesting that the Sun Belt tries to act all high and mighty, and yet their best coach left for a team in Conference USA. Just going to say that. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. There you go.
So, anyway, let's take a quick break, a 1 minute promo break here. And when we come back, we'll talk about the Pac-12. Their media days were held over the weekend. And, and no one knew. But there was a particular quote that I'm going to give you, and I want to get your reaction to it. So stick around here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joints. Back to the Lee Company studio in just 1 minute.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat.
She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Like, apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio too.
As do we.
And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every Main Street in Middle Tennessee, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone. We may make it.
I just want to say, we're never going to miss an opportunity to talk to Coach Cutt on this show.
No, dude's fantastic.
Ever.
And if you missed that interview, make sure to go back and watch it. We may make a new promo from this past week, but we ain't getting rid of that one. I'm just saying.
We got some good options.
We do have some good options, and so again, if you missed
and Coach Cutcliffe is among them.
If you missed what we did last week, make sure to go back and watch. You can watch it on demand on the Main Street Media app, on our YouTube channel or Facebook as well. Don't go to Twitter. You have to scroll through a bunch of stuff to get, or whatever it's called now. Don't go to X. Let me give you this quote because this
you definitely have my attention with this.
Okay, so essentially, and I don't have the exact quote because it's insanity, but essentially what was said is that the longer the Pac-12 waits on a media rights deal, the better their options get.
I don't think that's how it works.
And Kleofkoff, George Kleofkoff, is that?
I don't know how you pronounce that. Yeah, George K.
That was the longer we wait, the better our options become. That is the quote.
Okay. It's an interesting strategy, Cotton.
One guy said, I once remarked that if we could just get George K behind the mic for some Q&A, we could feel better about where the Pac-12 conference stands on its media rights deal. I was wrong.
When getting the commissioner on the podium raises more questions than answers, that's probably not a good situation.
And what's the problem? I mean, what's the issue with the Pac-12 media rights deal? They're still a power conference. They still have great brands. Now, obviously, USC and UCLA are gone, but it's still.
So when you say they still have great brands, who?
I mean, in football,
on a national scale.
Oregon, Utah, I think both of those are national brands right now, especially with the recent success of Utah.
But
I think
and they probably are national brands, but not to the level of UCLA or USC, which are not to the level of Texas or Alabama.
No, I understand that, but what's keeping them from getting a deal done with somebody? Is it the Ole Miss situation? False sense of self-worth?
That's perfect. Yes.
It's the false sense of self-worth.
I think that's exactly it. I think they have probably turned deals down because they did not feel like they were being treated with the respect that they deserve. That's just my guess. I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't know anything to back that up. That's just my inclination.
That's my only option. It feels like it's the only option. Otherwise, it would be done.
Yeah, you would think.
Now,
because like you said, they do certainly have some value, and they do have some valuable assets. Again, Oregon, Utah, Washington to start with.
I mean,
that are recognizable
Stanford
on a national scale. Sure.
A national alumni base.
Yeah.
Now, they're not great in football, but they are in everything else. And most media rights deals don't just include football. It includes basketball, women's basketball, and includes everything. So, I mean, you're talking about brands that are consistently competing at a high level, and it doesn't make sense to me that the Pac-12 can't get somebody to air their games for a decent price.
Yeah, you feel like it has to be a situation where they've just overvalued themselves.
And I told you just, I guess just before we came out I watched the WNBA on Island. It was a good product. It looked good. I mean, obviously it's basketball. It's in an arena with great lighting, and there's all the things that go along with that. But it's a broadcast network. It's over the air. If they're offering, I'm taking.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the Pac-12's problem is right now.
Well, if they're going down the road that the longer it takes, the better off we are, I just wish them luck.
Yeah, that's not a great.
I don't think it works that way. I don't think it's gonna work that way. They're liable to wind up on the CW or something like that.
Well, that's what Island is. That's the same company, essentially. So I don't understand why they're not on either of those, especially if they're increasing their sports packages with like Live Golf and other things like that. Why are you not with WNBA, Live Golf? You get a college football network. People are going to tune in. You don't think? I mean, have some of these media companies not been paying attention that we love Pac-12 After Dark? Everybody in the country is watching it.
Sure.
Everybody that cares about college football is watching it.
Yeah, people that start watching at 11 o'clock and watch until 1 o'clock the next morning.
Comes on.
Yeah. And there are plenty of those out there. I'm not among them.
There
are
are
plenty of those out there. Yeah.
I mean, there are folks like me who the first game I get a chance to watch starts at 10 o'clock because I'm at a wedding or whatever. So I get home, and while I'm winding down, I'm watching Pac-12.
Right.
It blows my mind that both sides of this can't get something done.
Something that as we were trying to stay away from football with Greg Sankey, something that we should have asked him and didn't was, his comments about Friday night college football that he made, at the Big 12?
Well, he just said it in general that the SEC will never play on Friday because we care too much about high school football. And he didn't mean it as a dig at the Big 12.
No,
the Big 12.
That's the thing.
He took it as a dig.
Well, because they're talking about playing on Friday nights.
Exactly.
Yes. And basically, I think what they interpret from that is he's saying we don't have to play on Friday nights.
And they don't.
He's not saying that, but it's certainly implied and it's understood. They don't have to play on Friday nights.
Just because you got that out of what he said doesn't mean that's what he meant. Guys, I'm just saying. You can interpret it however you want, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
College Game Day has announced its week 1 destination.
Oh.
It will be the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. South
Carolina,
Carolina,
South Carolina.
And North Carolina. That's right. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh, Tar Heels and Gamecocks.
A College Game Day for that.
I mean, we talked about how important that game is for South Carolina. It's pretty important for North Carolina.
Well, Drake
as
May
but
is the odds-on favorite to be, a top draft pick in the next NFL draft.
The other guy,
Spencer Rattler's pretty darn good too.
He's shorter than I thought he was.
I thought he was taller than I thought he was. He was taller than I was like, he is kind of tall. Anyway, Drake May, Spencer Rattler, South Carolina, North Carolina. I think it's a great pick for College Game Day. Should be a lot of fun to watch. We'll come back tomorrow with more Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll have, obviously, Chip Walters rejoins us. So come back then at 2 o'clock. We'll see you next time.